In this video, I want to show you how to make the perfect low-carb, dairy-free mozzarella cheese. I want to show you how to make cheese. Yes, cheese. That is one of the foods that everybody misses whenever we go on a low-carb diet, anti-inflammatory diet. But first, I want to tell you why we cannot eat dairy on an anti-inflammatory diet. So, lactose is a complex carbohydrate, and casein is a very complex protein. So, we are the only species that continues drinking milk after breastfeeding. We don't have enough enzymes to digest that amount of casein. The breastfed milk is completely different to the milk that is coming from the cow or another animal. And usually, actually, the breastfeeding milk is a low-carb diet, high-fat diet, high cholesterol, and the regular milk is really high in carbohydrates. And then if you do suffer from gastrointestinal inflammation, you are in the process of healing. There are certain proteins that you are not digesting because they are really hard, they are really complex, they are really hard to break them down, and that is casein. So it's not just about buying lactose-free, it's about eliminating dairy because you are not digesting casein. So it's why here I want to give you that substitute for mozzarella that you can put everywhere. And this is a cheese that I love because I can slice it, I can shred it, I can just put it on top of crackers in whatever way you like, and it's really, really similar to mozzarella. So the main three ingredients, you only need 3 ingredients. If you want to add extra flavor or extra spices, that goes optional, but then the main basic 3 ingredients are full fat coconut milk, non-refrigerated, Agar powder, which is a gelatin that comes from algae, so it's vegan if you don't want to use gelatin powder. And then the other one, you may be surprised, is potato starch. And I always say we are working on low-carb diets, anti-inflammatory diets, so potatoes are a no. However, potato starch is isolated from potatoes, and potato starch, there is more and more research showing that is beneficial for you, but of course in small doses. And why is that? Starches are carbohydrates, but potato starch is a resistant starch. So what's the difference between a resistant starch and a regular starch? Resistant starch, when you ingest it, passes through the upper intestine without being broken down into glucose. It's not broken down into glucose, so it's not spiking your insulin and your sugar. And when it passes the upper intestine, it becomes food for the bacteria in your gut. So it's an amazing prebiotic. So you are going to be able to feed and maintain a really good microbiome because the bacteria is going to turn it into medium chain fatty acids, which are really good for boosting inflammation and for a fuel for your gut cells. However, I do recommend not to do more than 1 teaspoon a day because it could cause some side effects. If you have a yeast overgrowth or SIBO, you could get gassy. So it's why you are your best detective and you want to identify if you feel gassy or not when you are using potato starch. But for the whole cheese, we are going to use just 3 teaspoons of potato starch, and you have a lot of servings in there, so you are not going to get to 1 teaspoon. But remember, resistant starch is not broken down into glucose, it's not spiking your insulin, and it's a really good prebiotic for your gut. So we are going to be using this pure unmodified, that's what you want to see, potato starch. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to blend everything beside the potato starch in a high-speed blender. And this is not a nut-based cheese because a lot of people are sensitive to nuts. So I created this coconut. Coconut is a tree nut. It's not in the group of the nuts, so it's not causing the same allergies. So this is a full-fat coconut milk that actually before I open it, you shake it well to move the water, the cream, the fat all together. This is non-refrigerated, so it's in the liquid form. And we're going to add about half the can. I added kind of like this, a little bit more than half a can. Then I'm gonna add warm water. So I was warming up some filtered water in here, but I'm just gonna need 2 tablespoons of filtered water. If you would like to add some flavor to the mozzarella, this is the moment. You would add your favorite spices. If you want to add black pepper or garlic or any other spice of your choice, now is the moment to do it. I'm just going to add a little bit of non-refined salt, maybe about half teaspoon. But this is up to taste, or if you don't even want salt, just leave it plain. And then I'm gonna add the agar, and the agar is what is gonna help the mozzarella to solidify and get the thicker consistency. So for half a can of coconut milk, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of agar powder, which actually is what I have left in this bottle. So I added there. And now we are ready to blend everything together. When everything is blended at high speed for about 1 minute, we take the blender out, put it on the side. And now what we are gonna do is in the stove, we are gonna take a saucepan, just a small saucepan like this is good. And then we are gonna put it at medium heat. And we are gonna pour, is liquid consistency. We are gonna pour our cheese mixture. You can see it's liquid. And we are gonna take it to boiling on medium heat. So the milk seems to be boiling. Let's move it with a wooden spoon a little bit. And now we are gonna decrease it to medium low. And we are gonna let it simmer for 5 minutes while we are moving. You wanna stir occasionally so the agar is not gonna get stuck in the bottom. And then after 5 minutes, that is simmering, we are gonna add the potato starch, and the potato starch is what is gonna make that is getting the chewy, elastic, gooey texture of the cheese. So something very important, never add the potato starch directly in hot liquid because it's gonna become like really clumpy. We have to dilute it in cold water. So I have some cold water here in the refrigerator, and we're just gonna need 2 tablespoons of the cold water for 3 teaspoons potato starch. But always remember, this is very, very important. Always with cold water. So I'm gonna add. So when you add it to cold water, it's not getting clumpy, as you can see. Like it will happen directly with the hot. So 3 teaspoons, which is 1 tablespoon potato starch. I'm just gonna stir it well. Dissolve it well in the water. Like this. And now is when you can add it in there. And we are gonna cook it together for about 1 minute until it's getting stretchy. So let's add it. We are gonna be stirring. Add it while you are stirring and moving. Start getting gelatinized, sticky, almost immediately. So after 1 to 2 minutes, you see how elastic it is, like you can even see the bottom. So this is when we stop cooking. And we are gonna turn off the heat, let it cool for a couple of minutes before we are gonna add it in the container. Alright, so this is already cooling down for a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit, to rub around the container wherever I'm gonna put the mozzarella, so it's gonna be easier to unmold it. And let's just put it in. Smells good. I'm just gonna stir a little bit. Alright. Let's spread it well, that the top is kind of flat and no bubbles. And this is it. We are gonna refrigerate it overnight. It's better than, usually you could do it 3 hours, but if you really wanna get a firm mozzarella, refrigerate it overnight without any cover, just like this. And while you are enjoying this cheese, remember to subscribe to my channel, click the bell button, and I hope to see you in the next video.